Hi y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Angelic for those of you who are new. Today's look is going to be a Star-Lord look that you guys saw in the thumbnail. I wanted to show you some of the pieces that I worked on and kind of explain to you a little bit like how I did them. I was up till like 4 o'clock this morning working on this stuff. So for Star-Lord's headpiece, I wanted it to look 3D. So at first I carved it out of like actual metal, but it was like so rough on the edges and I cut myself, and also it wouldn't fit like form to my forehead the way that I wanted it to. It just was kind of a hot mess. So instead I took some foam craft paper and I traced it out on this and sculpted out, and I'm bedazzling it, but I only wanted to do part of it last night. This took me forever. I know that's crazy sounding. I wanted to make sure that it would like bend without the jewels falling off. I glued these on with liquid latex. So I wanted to make sure that the latex would actually stick to this foam paper. So I cut this shape out, but then I also cut out an extra trim piece for the bottom in the same shape, just where these jewels are, because I wanted that to stand out a little bit more. And then I also did the same with this piece right here. Also, if my camera looks like it's at a funny angle, my mirror is really tall, and usually like I get down in it and you guys can't see what I'm doing and I'm always out of frame. So I have lifted my camera up and kind of angled it down towards me. I am trying to keep myself in frame for you guys. So the next thing I did was I made the eye pieces. And so I ordered these. These are the bicycle reflectors. They were like really huge, like too huge for what I wanted the eyes to be. And since there is silver around his eyes, I just bedazzled around it to make the red part a little bit smaller. I started making Charles a Star-Lord mask like over 5 years ago, and I never finished it. So I already had like these eyes and stuff, but they weren't bedazzled. But you can see on the back there's Gorilla Glue because I'd already stuck them to the thing. So I had to like peel those off. And I had to scrape as much of the Gorilla Glue off as I could. Just because I probably won't talk again, and I might forget to say it during the voiceover. I have these little lights. I bought these for my mantis look. And so when I put these on my eyes, I'm going to like tape these either to my face with just some medical tape, or I'm going to tape it to the back of this because I want his eyes to look glowy. See, I think that'll look really cool. Now, the one reason why this mask is so hard to pull off is because there's like all this stuff down here. So I thought that it kind of looked like a little bottle. So I got a couple of these. These were 5-hour energy bottles, and I stripped the label off. I emptied them out so they're like super lightweight. And then I cut it in half. So this is what it looks like. And then I bedazzled it. So I did black, and then I did a line of silver because there's a line of silver in it. And then I'm going to bedazzle this silver. So it's going to go right here. If I can pull this off today, God, I hope I don't spend all this time and then not be able to pull it off. So this is how I'm going to do it. Now, because this is like concave here, it's not going to stick to my face. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace this out on a surface that silicone won't stick to. Still want to use like a releasing agent. I'm going to trace this out on that, and then I'm going to fill silicone in on that traced out space, and then I'm going to put this in the silicone while it dries so that there will be a flat surface on the bottom of this, and so that it will also be able, like I can use Pros-Aid to stick the silicone to my face, and it'll just make everything a lot easier. That's what I've got so far. I've already put in about 6 hours worth of time on this. I'm getting ready to attempt the full look, and I'm also going to be on TikTok Live, so you see me talking in the video, that's what I'm doing. If you don't follow me, please make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you can see more videos like this. And I love you all, and I probably won't do an outro, so thank you so much for watching, and let's get started. So I finished the headpiece, and I wanted to show you guys what it looked like after it was done. I did this before I started recording, and then I also outlined everything using, this is the exact picture I used to outline everything. And I also forgot to start recording for that, I'm sorry, but I'm just filling in all the spaces with the coordinating colors. So this part is gold, and then The mouth and chin piece, that part was a little difficult, and I need to explain that a little bit. I at first outlined it in silver and like a gunmetal gray because I felt like that was the colors that his mask were, and like this black right here is like more of a gunmetal gray, the part that I'm coloring in right now. But my issue was that the rhinestones that I had some gunmetal gray ones, but I needed some extremely tiny ones for the mouth piece and the chin piece to do the gunmetal gray, and I didn't have any. I only had like some like that were a little bit bigger, so I did end up putting those on the sides, but when it got to the mouthpiece I ended up doing it in black because I had the small rhinestones for that. So I debated back and forth about this. I painted that part black there on my cheeks, and then I went back over it with gray, and then later on I go back over it with black again. Right now, just to get everything mapped out, I go ahead and put those little 8-hour energy bottles or 5-hour energy, whatever they're called, and I trace those out so I know where to bring the rhinestones to. But I like to color everything in because it just makes it easier when I'm putting the rhinestones on to know where everything should go. It gives me an outline. I feel like this tutorial, I'm explaining it like a hot mess right now. I'm so sorry, but this is kind of hard to explain. I feel like the visuals will help you guys better. So right here, I start coloring in my eyes, and I did that at first because I was going on TikTok Live, and I thought nobody's going to know who I am, or they're going to think I'm like C-3PO or something, unless I color in the eyes, and then maybe everybody will get the picture. But then once I started putting the jewels on, I realized that it was probably going to be hard to get those lighted eyes that I made to stick to my face. So, and I couldn't glue them on because I couldn't see through them, so I wouldn't be able to see how to do anything or take pictures or videos or anything. So, I decided that I was going to go ahead and fill those areas in the eye area with the rhinestones as well. I thought that might make it easier, and in the end it did work out better because I couldn't use the lighted eyes for videos or anything, so at least my eyes looked okay. They didn't look perfect or as great as the lighted eyes, which I did get a couple of pictures of, and I can't wait. Well, you guys saw in the thumbnail, but I can't wait to share that tomorrow. I've been editing this video for 2 days. This was 20 hours worth of footage. So right now I'm just trying to color in like the silver lines. I'm trying to make them like as perfect as I can. I went back and forth over how to shape these a few different times because when you're working with rhinestones, it's really hard to get straight lines on your face, especially in curved areas like your nose, and to make it look good. So I went back and forth on what to do there. And then here I am coloring this in with like a more of a gunmetal gray, and I did end up going back later and changing that to black just because that was the rhinestones that I had. Also, I still managed to get out of frame even though I adjusted my camera so that I hoped that I wouldn't. So when I put the rhinestones on my face and my chin, on my lips, like the nose, mouth, and chin area, I was out of frame, so I don't show that part. So I just want you guys to pay attention to the parts that I do show you because it's all the same. It's just liquid latex and rhinestones. And since we're already painting everything and mapping it out, then you'll know where to stick what, and then you can also look at my picture or the reference picture that I just showed you of Star-Lord's mask, and you can use that as a reference on where to place like the mouth, nose, and chin area, those rhinestones. And so here I am, I'm talking to TikTok Live. It just makes the day go by faster. And then how I do this is I use the tool that I'm using to put the liquid latex on. It's actually like a nail daughter, like for doing nails. And so I just use that and I lay down that much liquid latex because if you lay down too much, it dries really quick. And then you have to start over and it's kind of a mess. If you have to pull off a piece of latex, it's hard. You have to actually cut it with scissors because it'll start a domino effect and start pulling them all off. And then I just start dotting those on And the best thing that I found to do that with is that wax pen right there. You can get those from Amazon. There's a little low-key break. I take little breaks to love on my dogs. And so what I do is I just fill in, like place the rhinestones in the corresponding, with the corresponding color. So right there, that little part's black, and then around the eyes before you get to the silver is gold, but I use like a bronze because it's like a bronzy gold color, and I thought it fitted really well. For the eyes, what I had to do to try to make sure that I got them as round and perfect as I possibly could was I'd laid it down on my face like that, and then I would lay a little bit of liquid latex down, fill it in with the beads or the rhinestones, and then I just continued that process all the way around the eye. I would lay the liquid latex down, put the rhinestones on, and then I would lay it back down again and just do little sections like that. And it's weird because, you know, your eyes kind of dip on the sides, on the outer sides right there, and then of course on the inner corners too. So even though it was a perfect circle from some angles, from other angles it looked like not such a perfect circle. Eyes are the hardest to get like perfect circles around your eyes. It's so difficult. So that's why I was using that as a guide. I also want to mention really quick that the reason I use liquid latex is because this is a lot easier to pull off. Like I said, when you start pulling, it's like a domino effect and it all comes off. If I use lash glue, which is what I use if I just do a few rhinestones around my eyes for a normal makeup look, they'll stick better to lash glue, but it's a nightmare to take off, and liquid latex, it's harder to get them to stick to that. They fall off sometimes and you have to reapply them, but it comes off a lot easier in the end. I wish that I could have used those eyes in the videos because it would have looked so cool, but I literally couldn't see out of them, and I couldn't even, I had to try to tape them to my eyelids and tape the little lights to my eyelids, and it was kind of a nightmare. It wasn't working very well, and I only managed to get like 2 pictures with them on, and the rest of them, either one of them was falling off or it was crooked or whatever, and it was also hard where I couldn't see out of them to get them lined up perfectly. But I got like 2 pictures where they were perfect, so I'm going to use one of those for my Instagram, and also you saw in the thumbnail. So now I'm just filling in the center of that with the bronzy color, and then I'm going to go ahead and fill in the rest of the goldish bronzy area with that. Now with the headpiece there, you see my forehead is bare. That's where that headpiece is going to go that I made, and before I started this, when I went to draw it out, I laid that headpiece on my forehead and I traced around it so that it would fit perfectly. And so this part's like pretty repetitive. I don't know how else to explain it, because it's literally just laying down. It's just so monotonous. It's hours and hours and hours and hours of this, just laying liquid latex down, applying each rhinestone individually. And the rhinestone part for this took me about 14 hours, and then it was 6 hours to do the prop pieces that I did the night before, and so it was like a total of 20 hours for this look. And again, I just continue until all of the gold space is filled in. I didn't want to time lapse it too fast because I put the beads on, like, you know, it's kind of like a quick little thing, and I was afraid that you guys would miss it. And I get this question so much, like how I do this. So I just really wanted to give you guys a really good visual. So right now I have it time-lapsed at 400%, so it's 400% faster than when I'm actually doing it. So I am just going to leave it at 400. I'm afraid to go any faster or it'll just go like too fast for you guys. So I'm just going to insert like a little musical number here for you guys to listen to so that I don't have to talk during this whole part, and I'll come back and tell you like the things that I think are important, or, you know, more advice or whatever. You guys get what I'm saying? Okay, here's some music. So I'm just continuing the bronze rhinestones on the side here. I'm going to fill in that entire space, and I like to outline first and then fill everything in on the center. I just feel like that makes it easier, and I can get cleaner, nicer lines that way. And then now that I have the gold bronzy ones filled in, I use the gunmetal gray ones on the outside here. At this point, I was still thinking I was going to do the gray on the nose, chin, and mouth area, but I needed extremely tiny rhinestones for that because those lines are so thin, and I just didn't have them. You can see that these rhinestones are very small, but they still aren't like, I needed like microscopically small rhinestones for that part. And so I just bring that on down, and then I go and I pull it down on the side too. And do you see where I have those white dots on the back side there? That is because on his mask he does have like those little, it looks like a little screw thing. So I just put silver rhinestones on those 3 dots. There's like 3 in a line. I'm doing those right now. Okay, and then see, I'm putting silver there. And the silver isn't much different from the gunmetal gray ones, but they do stand out during the final. Like when you see it all put together, you'll see like why I did that and how it does kind of stand out a little bit. From this point, I go ahead and I start filling in the silver line that goes around the mouth, nose, and chin piece. I always leave the mouth and the chin for last because I don't know, I guess like where you talk and stuff, my chin especially, that's where they want to come off first, and that's where everything starts loosening up first. So I do all of this strategically, and I do all of those parts first. And then I save my mouth and my chin for last, and my mouth specifically just so that I can eat and drink. Like I said, this takes hours and hours and hours, so I have to, you know, plan and make sure I can be able to drink and eat during these times. And I do not take breaks this entire time. I keep snacks in my room. I eat Atkins bars and sometimes like M&Ms or whatever. But usually it's just like Atkins bars, and then I have like coffee and water that I keep up here. And then sometimes Charles, when he comes home from work, he'll bring dinner on days that I have a really long day like this, and I'll just eat while I'm working. And then here I am going back in with the bronzy gold color and filling in that patch there that I've painted that color. That's why this comes in so handy, because when you're working with the rhinestones, it's really hard to tell if you don't map everything out, like where everything needs to be placed. And it just makes it so much easier. I already know where everything is supposed to go. If you don't follow me on TikTok, then I would recommend doing that because you get a much better viewpoint of these looks that I do. And if it's 11 hours, 15 hours, 17 hours, 20 hours. I stay on TikTok live the entire time. My TikTok handle is the same as here. It's a GlamByAngelic. And I create these looks the entire time on there. The only time I get off is I do progress videos for TikTok, so I have to stop like every little bit, probably like every hour or two, and I update my progress video. It literally takes me 30 seconds, and then I hop back on TikTok live and everybody gets to like watch me do this. And I actually do have people that stay on there for like 13 hours at a time and watch me create these looks, and it's amazing because it makes the time go by so much quicker, and I have like, you know, people to talk to and stuff. Okay, so this is the point where I decided to go ahead and fill the eye area in with rhinestones because I had tested the lights on the rhinestones that I'd already made, and while of course the eyepieces fit perfectly because I did measure them out as I went along, it just wasn't gonna stick. There wasn't enough depth between my eyeball and the little bicycle thing, the red thing. Oh my god, why can't I think of the name of it? Oh my god. The bicycle reflector. Oh my god, please. I'm messing this up so bad. But there wasn't enough space between my eyeball and the bicycle reflector for the light, and it was really difficult. So I knew that for my videos I was going to need to have my eyes filled in with rhinestones so that everybody could tell that I was actually Star-Lord, because I was afraid it wouldn't be noticeable otherwise. And I feel like on looks like this, a lot of times, oh, little Loki break, he likes to smell the rhinestones. I feel like with looks like this, sometimes it's like hard to tell what the character is until you get to the final pieces, like the mouth, the nose, the chin area. And sometimes people will get on my live and try to guess, and I don't know why everybody was guessing that I was going to be a tiger for this. That was so crazy to me. So what I did was I did two lines of the silver, and then I started filling it in the rest of the way with the red. And I felt like that was very accurate to his mask, and that was also what I did on the actual eyepieces. Now, before I started doing the eyes, I did like a half line of silver on the outer part of the eyes. So some parts there, it looks like there's 3 lines of silver, but that's because his mask itself has like a half line of silver on it. So I just tried to make it as accurate as I possibly could using that reference picture that I showed you guys. That's the one I kept going back to. I find a lot of times when you have a reference picture that's that good, that shows you full on all the details, I just like to stick with one picture so that I know that I'm getting everything as accurate as possible. This is the part where I start doing the nose, mouth, and chin part, but also I did go out of frame, so I'm so sorry. You'll just have to look at my picture and the reference picture if you want to recreate this, because I was so out of frame you couldn't see anything I was doing, and I had to just cut it out. But one thing that I wanted to leave in here is that where the gunmetal gray spots are, I did go back in and color those in black, and I did use black rhinestones there, as I said, because the gunmetal ones that I had were not small enough to fit into those really tiny places, and I only had black ones that did that, and I felt like black could be pulled off, so that's what I did. Even though it's not exactly accurate, that's why I did that. Also, I listen to Alt Nation on Sirius XM while I'm creating my looks to give me some music, and so sometimes I'm not talking to TikTok Live even though I'm on TikTok Live, but I am singing and it's hilarious. So right now I'm going to put my headpiece on. I'm putting Prosade down on my forehead, and then I also put it down on the cheek area where I'm going to put the jaw areas where I'm going to put those bottles that I made. And you know, I always like use that fan to dry down my Prosade. I did also apply Prosade to the prosthetic pieces as well. I'm going to call them prosthetic pieces. and you let that dry down. When it goes clear, you know it's dry, and then you can stick it on there. I've used that fan to make the process go by a little bit quicker, but I did that on the forehead area, and as you can see, I'm also doing that on the jaw area. And I ended up using liquid latex instead of silicone to put on the back of those bottles so that it would be a flat surface to be able to stick to my face. So I just laid down a bunch of liquid latex. I made a few layers of it, and while it was wet, I stuck those down in it, and then I, at the end, just made sure it was glued on really well. So that's how I made those, and then I just continued painting this in. But like I said, my camera is out of focus a lot, and I get out of frame a lot, so I'm sorry I don't have all of that for you, but I just did the same as with the rest. Lay down the liquid latex and then put the black jewels down. And then this is the final look. Charles let me borrow his Walkman, and here's what the lighted eyes look like. On top of it, you can see it covers perfectly, and I just held it up here because, like I said, this took 14 hours this day and 6 hours the night before, and I was up until 4 o'clock in the morning the night before doing this stuff. So by the time I got to this part, I was exhausted, and I knew I was only going to try to attach those to my eyes for the pictures, but I wanted to show you guys what the look actually looks like without those, because this is what's going to be in all my videos. But the eyes are so cool, and it turned out so good in the pictures. I love how this whole look turned out. And also I want to point out that I did put silver beads on the ends of those bottles because it was more accurate. And then after this, I did end up putting some silver beads like on the inside, just like a little line, so it looks like a little pipe going in there. You'll see it in the picture. You can just use that as a reference. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you want to see more of my videos like this. I love you all, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!